Hey Kevin, my name's Yanni. I'm from the UK, and I'm also in class 5, just finishing off this week. And I wanted to take some time to comment on some people's work. I've seen that you've made a small note to have a look. And yeah, your shout's looking really good. I love some of the timing on this and some of the snappiness that there is, especially at the end. I love kind of like her reaction at the end and the way that she turns back to look at him. And you've got also some f great facial stuff going on as well. Yeah, so I'm just going to go through a bit frame by frame, and have a look at stuff, that I think that, jumps out at me and you might be able to have a look at. There's a great little turn here that you do, but at the beginning, but one of the things that I have a little bit, something that jumps out of me is just the way that the elbow on her at the beginning, from frame 1 to kind of like frame 18, it kind of like pans a little bit away from the arm, just from the body, just a tiny, 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 tiny amount. It almost looks like it's pivoting from here, but it's a bit difficult for me to see the motion, of the hand. But just double check to see if her screen left hand is actually, doing something weird there, because it just looks a bit funny. And as she looks up at him, one of the things that you could do is she starts with her eyes closed. I almost imagine that her pupils are just down here on screen, and when she looks up at him, her eyes are like already right at the top. Have just a little bit of a frame, as she comes up in frame 12. Have a look at it to see if you can put her pupils just on the bottom curve of her eyelids, so that they actually move up like that to look at him. So that by the time she looks up in frame 18, her eyes are not exactly meeting him. They're just rising up to actually meet his gaze at that point there. And yep, all the rest is looking really, really, really nice. I think one of the things that you can do with the mouth shapes, especially, is to look at the shapes. You look so much like him, you have no idea. And almost look at yourself. You might film some reference to see what your lips are doing, kind of like in this space over here, just in front of the mouth, because you look so much like him, you have no idea. And it's just this idea of the lips actually pushing out ever so slightly while you reach specific shapes, especially W's and U sounds like that. You can really push the mouth outwards, sometimes further than what you might actually think, and get the shape, especially round in this area over here. So pretty much, although she's kind of like talking very kind of like slowly like that, I think you can maybe just exaggerate, the shapes of those oohs there. If it's not so much coming outwards, try dropping the jaw a little bit, just so that we can see a little bit more of the mouth there, but make those shapes in the mouth just that little bit tighter, and also hold some of them for a little while. I think you're doing what you is well held. Have make him you have no, yeah, the nose just a little bit too quick. So that nose shape on frame 59, drop the mouth open a little bit more. It should probably be as strong, as the previous U on frame 34. You want to keep those shapes kind of like a bit consistent, just so that they read from the angle that they're at. The other thing as well is have a look at the eye line in frame 57. She's looking slightly on top of his head. Keep the eye line focused on the actual eyes of where he is. So he's up here, she's looking there. If he drops, she looks down there. So always kind of like tracking where the actual eyes are, even if you have to fake it a little bit. So drop the eyes down a little bit on frame 57, so that she's actually looking at him, not past him. And then when she looks away, is just a little bit linear at the end of it. You might want to make that motion just a little bit smoother. So very much when she comes down from frame 93, she turns, and the turn kind of like stops at frame 106, 107-ish area, and then it kind of like goes straight. So you've got kind of like got this motion, sweep, and almost a straight like that. Either smooth it out so it's a complete curve, or do something so that it's just a little bit more curved at the end. So the area around frame 107 to 114, the nose there, it's just gliding almost on a straight line. You might want to give a little bit more of a curve there. And also I think that at this point here you can do something with the arms as well, that she doesn't necessarily have to hold herself like that, but she could have something like her hands go on her knees or something, and just doing this action here, you can see that there's a little bit of motion with my shoulders. You'd see the elbows change in position there, and it's just a little bit more. Also, she's really near screen right, the frame at frame 111. So try to see if you can actually, make sure that she's not just tangenting there with the side of frame. Okay, and so now she looks back at him. Again, similar idea on the turn of the head as well, although this time, I think kind of like in frame 164, you just want those eyes just a tiny amount, frame 64, frame 65, just to be a little bit more screen right, and just do a little pan like that to screen left. You've got a little bit of an eye dart here around frame 173. I'm not sure if that's intentional or not, so it just feels a bit strange to actually have this little jitter of the eyes there. It just doesn't seem kind of like natural to me. I think that she'd almost be engaging. And if you do want to do an eye dart, make it much clearer. So instead of having the eyes do this, make her do that. So it's kind of like, instead of having this constant jitter like that, just two very kind of like very clear movements to show that she's either thinking or she's remembering something or something like that. And you can vary the angle in which the eyes actually dart as well, according to what you think that she should be thinking about in that time. That gasp is really good as well. I think just on frame 194, the way that the eyebrows go up, think about, squash and stretch there as well. I've noticed this a little bit as well, where kind of like the eyes and the eyebrows, the shapes that they make, when they actually move can just be that little bit more exaggerated so that it feels like they're moving with a bit more unity. You have a little bit of an offset that can be exaggerated a bit more, but just keep that shape moving as best you can. And then look out for pops in the cheeks with Bishop, especially around frame 248. That seems a bit too kind of like exaggerated there, and it looks like a really nasty crease there as well. And also I think at this point, see if you can raise those eyebrows maybe a little bit more as well, and just try to avoid some creasing around the eyelids. I think kind of like the pose in shot 3 where he's saying, "I'll tell you my name." It's just a little bit weak in some areas, mostly because the hands are kind of like this, and they're not really doing much. It's almost like if he's reaching for something or if he's doing something that's a bit more active, you almost want to bring those hands forward and be kind of like in a bit more either of beckoning position or of "I will tell you my name," or but the hands currently, they're just kind of like, they're rotating, they're opening, and they're kind of like floating down, but the beckoning of them, which I think is the emotion that you're going for, isn't really strong. So it's almost like you'd want to lift the hands a little further up instead of moving them off screen, if that makes sense. Yeah. I love the end part, the snappiness of it. I'd just be looking out at especially the elbow on frame 305 of hers. Is kind of like popping in midair, and then kind of like it settles in a really weird way. So look at the screen right arm and elbow and try to get a bit of a swing into it there. And then look also at the hand that's doing some of the, what's his name, the waving to her as well. It just looks like it's moving in a straight line up, and it is. So that elbow is just IKing all the way up straight. Put a bit of a curve in there and also ease it in and out, so it's kind of like it's low at the beginning, it drags, and then it raises up at the top as well. And then kind of when she does that, those last little gestures there are absolutely great. They're spot on. track the arcs on the wrists. That's really, really, really important. So look at all the wrist work in that area, but the rest of it is just working fine. So anyway, Kevin, hope this helps. And yeah, if you need anything else, just do another post during the week. We can have a look at some stuff. Okay. Well, thanks very much for letting me look at your work, and have a great week. See you later. Bye.